So what's your tip on how to do that? Let's end with here's the acting tip that you've all been waiting for this whole episode.
You just have to use it's all about imagination at that point, right? You use the imagination part of your technique, and figure out like your point of view, like how you're feeling about this thing, because the other actor isn't there to give it to you, right? So you have to it has to all come from within, and it's hard. It's one of the things that makes auditioning so hard, right? Is that you don't really have any of that. You're not really reacting off much. I guess that's the tip then.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Outsiders.
I'm Seth Austin.
And I'm Todd Pickering.
And we're a couple of actors stuck on the outside trying to make our way to the inside of the biz.
Hollywood, baby. I'm back in Hollywood.
Todd is back in Hollywood. Todd was not in Hollywood for a little while, but before we get into our episode today, he was on the prairie, and if you would like to email him about having been on the prairie, the proper place to do that is theoutsidersbiz@gmail.com. That's theoutsidersbiz@gmail.com.
I will answer all your prairie questions.
All of them. All of the prairie, about the prairie dogs, about
jackalopes.
Jack, did you bring a jackalope back with you?
I didn't catch it. They're ever elusive.
Because having a blended animal within the city, that ain't legal, Todd. Mr. Park Ranger.
Is that biblical?
It's a Big Lebowski reference. He's talking about having the marmot within city limits. It's not
a marmot. I loved it. And vermin?
Critter.
Took a road trip. So here's the thing where we're moving this into the biz is that
what happened on the road, Todd? What happened that is business related, Todd?
Well, that I told my agent that I would be, and it came up quicker than I thought because of the end of the month. So I quickly send off this message to my agent saying, I'm going to Nebraska. Definitely don't send me out for auditions next few days because I'll be on the road, but I brought my light. So I'm driving back. And I have got no auditions whatsoever, but I've checked my email. You got to check your email, people.
Let's just interrupt there. So the topic for today is current things that are happening, the pandemic, current events, what's happening on set, audition-wise, just to give people an idea of the atmosphere during this crazy pandemic.
Yeah, and self-tapes so they're great because I'm on the road. I'm in Salt Lake City. My best friend calls. I get into the hotel, and I tell her that I haven't had any auditions. And the second I hang up, I have an audition. California time. I'm like, it was a commercial where they asked for 4 different types of screens.
Goodness gracious.
So I'm in a hotel room and I go, great, there's only one wall and there's nowhere to put my light that also holds my phone, except over there. So I had to take everything off the nightstand, drag it to the corner. I'm hungry, but I go, you better do this before you eat. And hotels are really cheap right now. And I'm assuming there's not many people in there, and hopefully there's nobody in the room next to me because I have to scream.
You're in deliverance country. You're in the middle of deliverance country. You have to do
in Salt Lake City.
four different
it's not deliverance.
Screams. The kids with no arms and one eye are going to be knocking on the door. Daddy, is that you?
They wouldn't mind that, though. That's the point. And if you haven't seen Deliverance, you got to see that movie, people. Squeal like a pig. And so it's like, just do it. I feel sometimes we do better auditions when there's pressure.
Yeah, because you let go to a certain extent, right?
So I had to move the nightstand, which was very movable. Then I had to take the swivel chair that had wheels because it wasn't high enough to put my camera on. And they're asking for screams with lots of hands. They showed all the types they want, to be really energetic.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, can't hold my phone. And because it would have been easy to do wherever I was staying in the Midwest at my aunt's house and, or with friends, somebody that could hold the camera for you. At any rate. So I had to put towels underneath so it wouldn't fall off of the nightstand. And, I just did, you better do takes before you get a knock on the door or a phone call saying, there's been a lot of screaming in your room. I'd already prepared the whole, I fell asleep on the TV control. It was so loud. American Horror Story, man. You know, Walking
Yeah,
Dead.
I think it's the lesson here is that you just gotta kind of be prepared and ready to audition when the time comes, when it's necessary, because what's the actor's like Murphy's Law type thing, right? When you decide
Yep.
to go out of town, that's when you're gonna get the auditions. So I had one I had to do in a hotel room in Vegas for a friend. It was actually a callback for my friend's project. It actually ended up being a great project. But the callback came when I was in a hotel room in Vegas visiting my mom, actually. And I like pulled a big chair into the bathroom and, you know, did the best I could with the situation that I had. My friend didn't care, that I was in Vegas in the hotel. He just
No.
wanted to hear my performance. And speaking of segueing, or I have some onset experiences to share that I've actually had two now
Oh,
during this
cool. Two?
pandemic. Yeah, and they're both super recent. Last week, so one of my peripheral jobs is that I work for the city of Los Angeles, and whenever productions want to shoot in the city parks here, I go in and I make sure that they abide by their permit, essentially, which is I'm a
The
rule
park permit?
enforcer. Yeah, the permits that allows them to shoot in the park. Their
Oh,
filming
right.
permit.
The movie permits. Got it.
Right. So like, you can't park here, you can't mess with the trees, that kind of stuff. And
Sure.
it's I like it because we need to protect our parks, and these big productions would be likely to cause damage to the parks if there wasn't someone there making sure that they didn't. It was a huge set. This was for Station 19, which is not a show that I watched, but it's a firehouse based show. The biggest thing I noticed, honestly, with obviously everyone has to wear masks. I wasn't personally tested before I had to be on set. I'm not 100% sure what the protocol was with testing. I mean, I've been tested many times throughout this pandemic, so I am fully confident that I'm negative. But we all had to wear masks, of course. All the obvious stuff. You're supposed to stay, as distant as possible. All the restrooms are one person. But the biggest thing was the catering, right, which happened as soon as I got there. And instead of a buffet, it was you order your food at a series of windows through plastic. There's a little square hole
Yep.
in each plastic sheet in front of this big tent.
Yeah.
And you say what you want out of the three options, and they hand it to you. It comes in a very not eco-friendly plastic container. Then you go down to the next
Yep.
window and you get your sides, which are all individually pre-packaged in more
Yep.
plastic containers. This pandemic is doing terrible things for our environment.
Yep.
But I guess we're driving less. I don't know. So that was cool. And then, yeah, I don't know. And then the tables were set up so that you could only have one person at the end of each table. There were many, many,
Sure.
many tables under the tents. And then you had to, each table is about 6 feet long. And so you have to sit only at each end. And this is funny. So I go later on after I have my meal. It's a couple hours later. I'm like, I would like some crafty. I need a bottle of water. I would like a snack. And I am a crafty connoisseur. Crafty is where you will find me at on set many times. So
for those not in the know, what's craft services?
So craft service is the table where you go. So the origin of it is this is the thing that serves the crafts people who are making the film, right? So it's snacks, it's coffee, it's drinks, it's sometimes they'll even have what they call a standing hot meal at Crafty. They'll have for crew members who don't necessarily get to eat the lunch, whatever. There's a lot of different rules that go into craft service, but on big productions, it's usually freaking awesome. There's like tons of stuff there. You go up, you get bags of chips, you get, hummus and carrots, whatever. There's just a lot of stuff there often. Sandwiches. So I go and I'm looking and the guy says, okay, just let me know what you want. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So you have to ask for what you want. Now, for someone like me who used to stand there and kind of look around and be like, okay, no one's seeing what I'm doing, and then just grab a bunch of different stuff and sort of hoard snacks,
The actor hoarding snacks.
Yeah, that's me. I am that guy. I am the crafty raider. I am the crafty pirate. And
Terry Garr in Tootsie.
Right. And now, the thing is, they don't care, right? Of course, what my friend tried to tell me afterwards, like, they don't care, but I still felt shame because, like, now I have to ask for all of the whole, like, I can do it on the sly and grab as many snacks as I want without anyone knowing. So I don't have to feel that, like, pang of shame. That's gone because of
So
COVID.
wait, so
COVID.
you just went to the window and said, "Can I have 20
No, I
snacks?"
didn't. No, I didn't. I only took one because I didn't want to feel that shame. I only took
It's
one.
different when you're asking for it.
It's totally different. And so all of the buffet places like Golden Corral, all of these different places are shutting down, right? And in the article I read about that, there was like, one of the managers said, well, gone are the days when people could just go up and get as much as they want without feeling shame, some form of shame. Now they have to ask for the person behind the thing to give them what they want. So that
And I don't think
interaction.
I think the buffet's closing isn't a bad
No,
thing.
I'm not saying that it is. All I'm saying is now I understand it because that's what happened to me. Now I
Right.
had to go to the crafty and sort of feel that shame. That's the same thing that you now feel at the Golden Corral when you have to ask for the 5th steak,
Right. So that's all you learned being on set?
That's all I learned, Todd.
Wow.
Okay.
I think the tests are more about the actors that have to be in scenes with other actors.
Yeah, I would
Because
imagine
they
that
have
that's
to
true.
take their masks off.
So that is another good segue because I did have to be on set for another occasion, which was much more joyful. I was cast
More joyful?
Yeah, than like, because I was acting, Todd. You ruined it. I was going to lead up to that. I was acting in this project. I was cast in a thing
You
during a
didn't tell me
pandemic.
this till we're live. How exciting.
Good Lord. So,
Oh.
are you going to let me finish? All right. So I was cast in this thing and it's a 5-minute action short. And it was they called it commando rather than guerrilla. It was completely under the radar. Like we didn't have a permit, nothing, but they were very good about enforcing COVID restrictions. They made us actually fill out a Google Doc beforehand with proof that we had tested negative within the last 2 days for COVID. So I had to upload a screenshot of my negative COVID test and answer a bunch of questions, pledging to wear the mask whenever I wasn't doing a take and all this other stuff. And they were right from the get-go, like even at the safety meeting, we all huddled kind of close together and they were like, no, spread out, keep your masks on. Everyone who's speaking, speak up because you have to have your mask on, that kind of stuff. And, we did like, I think 99% of the time I felt completely protected as far as the COVID thing and how people were being responsible and keeping their masks on. It was a great experience. It was a night shoot and the location was incredible. And
did you blow up?
Did I blow up? Did I get blown up?
Yeah, or did you blow somebody up? You said it was.
I shot a bunch of people. Yeah, I got to kill.
You shot people.
I got to kill people, Todd.
How many people did you kill?
With a gun. How many people did I kill? I killed a bunch. I killed at least confirmed kills. 4. I think 4 confirmed kills. Yeah.
Cool. So you survived? You didn't get killed?
I'm like one of the only characters that doesn't get killed. My partner gets killed and I had to get really emotional about it. So it was cool. It was, it was, I don't often get cast in action stuff. Not in that particular role. I don't often get cast as like the cop who does the killing.
I think
generally,
it's good casting for you.
Generally, I'm the bad guy. But see, the cool thing about this role was it had both. I got to be the good cop who was playing the role, like undercover, playing the role of a drug dealer, right? So I got to whip out my more character-y, like, hey, I'm the drug dealer, kind of, or come to buy drugs kind of thing. I'm the tough guy. But then got to have a really emotional part where my, vulnerable moment where my partner dies and I grieve for his death. Oh. So that was really fun.
Cool. Will you be able to use it for your reel?
I think so. The only challenge that I see potentially with it was the sound. Sound can be a make or breaker. Sound can be a make or break in post, and we may have to end up doing a lot of ADR because the mic packs they had weren't working, and so they had to boom it. And
yeah, that's not going to work.
So lav mics are what you would want. The lav mic clips here, and it gets you, that's a very short distance to go, and they're unidirectional, and so they pick you up very well. Whereas the boom, for folks who don't know, the boom is that long pole with a microphone on the end of it, and that's great and all, but when we were shooting literally underneath the 10 freeway. And so there's a lot of background noise. So I don't know how that boom pole is going to pick us up. So, it was good training.
Professional productions, movies and cop shows, if they're filming like that on location, I think they opt for ADR most of the time, don't they? I mean, I'm not a big sound person, but don't you think?
I would imagine that some amount of ADR happens. Yeah, I would imagine. I don't actually know. I'm curious. Like, I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of ADR for that. So, I mean, if that's what it ends up being, that's what it ends up being. It's going to be a unique challenge, and I'm going to have to like really prepare for that because I don't like doing ADR, like not at all. But
it's hard.
It's really hard.
I did a commercial where they just even said, forget it. We're just going to ADR it. Like, let's quit stressing about the sound.
Right.
There's too much ambient noise. It's just going to waste our time.
And for those who don't know, ADR is when you sit in front of either a large screen or a computer or something, and you watch your own mouth. This is in post-production, of course. You're sitting in a controlled studio where there's zero background noise. You're in a soundproof booth, and you're watching your own mouth on screen from whatever take they're going to use, and you try to match up exactly the rhythm of your speech in that sound booth to your mouth on the screen. So that they can, because the sound on set didn't turn out right. So you're doing it in a controlled environment, if that makes sense.
And they ask you whether you want to hear your own voice to dub, which is, I can't. I'm like, it throws me off. Like, how can anybody dub with their own voice? I mean, it's nice hearing your original take. So, and if you do something stupid, like in between, like you have to do the weird throat thing.
I mean, that's a weird quirk of film acting. It's just a lot of it doesn't go as planned. The sound, especially, like you just have to kind of, like it's hard. It's hard because you don't train for that kind of stuff, right? No one sits you down in a class and teaches you how to do all this weird, quirky film acty type stuff. And you're taught in technique class how to react and how to be in the moment. And it's really hard to bring all that to play. That really nice acting training that you get. It's really hard to bring that. And it's hard to bring the realness when you have all of this other stuff thrown at you, this very technical stuff, or, when an actor isn't there, it's like, well, how do I react truthfully if this actor could only give, like last night, we were shot the last few scenes, or we needed some more coverage, and like one of the actors can only be there for 2 hours. And so I had nothing to react off of, in order, and I still had to get like emotional, and they hadn't told me that we were going to be doing this. So I wasn't really prepared for it either to get emotional, and I sort of had to just get it up, so to speak, last minute. And
how'd you do?
I think I did okay. Like I rallied. It was hard. I was still recovering from the night shoot,
So what's your tip on how to do that? Let's end with here's the action tip that you've all been waiting for this whole episode.
You just have to use it's all about imagination at that point, right? You use the imagination part of your technique, and figure out like your point of view, like how you're feeling about this thing, because the other actor isn't there to give it to you, right? So you have to it has to all come from within, and it's hard. It's one of the things that makes auditioning so hard, right? Is that you don't really have any of that. You're not really reacting off much. I guess that's the tip then. It's like you kind of have to bring in your audition technique to a certain degree. You have to sort of pretend in your mind like that this person said this thing, or, did this thing, or died this way, or whatever, because it was a reaction to my partner getting shot. This woman in the shot, this woman shoots my partner, and he, falls down, and then I'm reacting to her shooting him. Well, she had to leave. So she couldn't do the shots. So I had no moment. And in hindsight, what I probably should have done is asked someone on set to give a cue for like, okay, shots fired. And that might have given me something to react off of, or ask for a stand-in. And these are all things, I'm learning as I go along. But yeah, it's a lot. But when you're on set, it's like, there's a lot of like in the moment sort of adjustments that you have to make. And I think
that's the other tip, I guess, is be prepared.
Just be prepared.
Don't count on anything.
Yeah, don't count on anything. And Yeah, I think, and a lot of it was still too that I was still exhausted. We were doing yet another night shoot, and it was hard. And when I was expecting, I should have just assumed we weren't going to get it all done. You know, I wasn't 100% mentally prepared to shoot a second night. Yeah, you just
So
kind of
be
got to.
prepared. I think that's the ultimate.
Yeah, you got to roll with the punches.
Well, congrats on that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I mean,
Can't
I've
wait to
already
see it.
seen some production stills, you know, that are awesome. I can't wait to put them on Instagram
Oh,
and
good.
stuff.
I want to see them. Send them to me.
Yeah, yeah, we can use them for our page as well.
Oh yeah.
All right, I think that's good, right?
Yeah, that's a wrap.
All right.
Good to be back. Nice to see
Good
you.
to be back. You too, Todd.
Nice to hear you.
Yep. All right.
Glad to hear that. All right. Email
one,
us
everybody.
at theoutsidersbiz@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
I was going to say .com. I forgot the @gmail part. How does the interwebs work again?
Don't worry about it, Todd. I'll tell you when
gotta
you're
get
older.
out of the prairie.